Hi, this is Dan Wickwire here. Today, a look at question number 190 or 185 in the book 200 Questions About the Bible and the Qur'an. Question is this: did Abraham ever travel to Mecca to offer a sacrifice at the Kaaba? The Bible indicates no, but the Qur'an indicates yes. Now, if we look at the Bible first, it actually gives a detailed description of the travels of Abraham. And I'll just briefly mention these in the succession in which they appear. Ur of the Chaldees, this is where he went in Genesis 11:31 and Acts 7:2-4. He went to Haran, Genesis 12:1-4 and Acts 7:4. Number 3, he went to Damascus, Genesis 15:2. Number 4, he went to Shechem, Genesis 12:6 and 7. Number 5, he went to Bethel, Genesis 12:8. Number 6, he went to Egypt, Genesis 12:9-20. Number 7, he went to Bethel, Genesis 13:1-9. 8, he went to Hebron, Genesis 13:10-18. Number 9, he went to Dan in Genesis 14:1-14. 10, he went to Hobah in Genesis 14:15 and 16. 11, he went to Salem, Genesis 14:17-21. 12, he went to Hebron in Genesis 15:1-21, 17:1-27, and Genesis 16. 13, he went to Gerar in Genesis 21-18. Number 14, he went to Beersheba in Genesis 21:1-34. 15, he went to Moriah in Genesis 22:1-18. And lastly, he went to Hebron in Genesis 23:1-20. Notice that there is no mention of Abraham ever going to Mecca. And in fact, it's very questionable if Mecca even ever existed at the time of Abraham, much less at the time of Adam and Eve, as Islamic tradition believes. They believe, according to Islamic tradition, they believe that the black stone of the Kaaba remains from the original structure where Adam visited, and it's called Al-Hajar al-Aswad. And yet, there are serious doubts as to whether Mecca even existed at the time of Muhammad. For example, Dr. J. Smith, if you look at the YouTube video called Uncovering the Truth About Mecca's Origins, it's 1 hour and 3 minutes long. You can find this on YouTube. Call up Dr. J. Smith, Uncovering the Truth About Mecca's Origins. Dr. Smith, who has a doctorate in Islamics, and he points out that there are no references to any city called Mecca in the 7th century historically. He also points out that the Qur'an, which was revealed between 610 and 32, there are no references to any book of the Qur'an at the beginning of the 7th century in the historical records. There also are no references to anybody called Abu Bakr, Usman, or Ali. These were the caliphs after Muhammad. He also points out that we have nothing earlier than the 12th century about Islam. All of the hadith, all of the biographies of Muhammad, the first biography of Muhammad didn't even come out until 1860, and that was done by Friedrich Heinrich Wüstenfall. And so the whole thing about the Kaaba existing in Mecca at an early date is very questionable. In fact, the Quran only mentions the Kaaba one time, and that is found in, that is found in the 48th surah of the Quran. I'll read that real quick. 48:24. It is he who has restrained their hands from you and your hands from them in the valley of Mecca after he granted you victory over them, and Allah is seer of what you do. That's the only actual reference to the word Mecca in the Quran. However, I'll look at several other verses where it's understood by Muslims that Mecca existed. For example, Baqarah 2:127. And when Abraham and Ishmael were raising the foundations of the house, that word there, the house, is a reference to Mecca, according to the Islamic scholars. And he's talking about way back at the time of Abraham. This is before Christ, okay? Whereas Dr. J. Smith points, you can't even find any reference to Mecca on the maps or in the world, in the literature of the world before the 7th century. There was nothing there. There was no water, no city, no civilization there at that time, according to Dr. J. Smith. Look at Ali Imran 3:95-97. Say, Allah speaks the truth. So follow the religion of Abraham, the upright. He was not of the polytheists. The first sanctuary ever built for mankind was at Becca, and in parentheses the Quran has Mecca, a blessed place, a guidance to the peoples. In it there are plain signs wherein the place where Abraham stood. Whoever enters it is safe, and the pilgrimage to the house, again this is a reference to Mecca, is a duty to Allah for mankind, for all who are able to make the journey. As for the disbelievers, they should know that the Allah is independent of all of his creatures. So according to Ali Imran Surah, Mecca, Becca, what they call, this was the first sanctuary ever built for mankind, and they date that all the way back to Adam and Eve or to Abraham. Okay, look at Hajj 22:26. We appointed for Abraham the site for the house, again referring to the Kaaba in Mecca, and purify my house for those who circumambulate, and again in parentheses is the Kaaba, and those who stand and those who bow and prostrate. So if you'll notice this, that the Bible indicates that Abraham traveled to 16 locations, but that he never went into Saudi Arabia or to Mecca. He died at the age of 175 in Hebron. So the essential question is this: did Abraham ever travel to Mecca to offer a sacrifice at the Kaaba? No, according to the Bible, but yes, according to the Quran.